22nd edition of Nigeria's National Sports Festival, known as Gateway Games 2024, is currently underway in Ogun State, marking a significant celebration of athletic excellence and national unity. The festival, running from May the 16th to May the 30th, 2025, has brought together over 10,000 athletes from all 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, competing across more than 35 sports disciplines. The festival has also set new standards in athlete welfare and infrastructure and is dedicated to fostering athletic talent, promoting unity, and celebrating cultural heritage. The Gateway Games 2024 was officially declared open on Sunday, marking a historic moment in Ogun State's sports development journey. The opening ceremony was a vibrant celebration of athleticism, unity, and youthful energy. According to Governor Dapo Abiodun, the Games should foster unity and mutual respect beyond just winning. The Gateway Games 2024 showcases Ogun State's commitment to nurturing talent, celebrating excellence, promoting sports development, as well as national progress. Well, joining us for this conversation is the Grand Ambassador of Sports, Ogun State, Chief Segun Odegbami. Good morning. It's good to have you join us, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, and congrats for this 23rd century facility you have.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's good to have you here in our edifice. Now, talk to us about the 2024 Gateway Games. A lot has been said, controversy generated leading up to these games, but here we are. The games has started despite every conversation that we have heard. Help us better situate things with regards to the games and how it's gone so far.
Well, the good news is that there's a revival.
Right.
The Gateway Games now are like a restoration of the original sponsoring motivation for bringing up the games 53 years ago. It was to unite the people, bring the youth together after the civil wars of 1970. And for some time we derailed. The festival became a jamboree of some sort. It stopped producing the results and the objectives for it, which was set up. But it appears we are now back on track. And Ogun State is like one of the major contributors towards achieving that objective. We saw it in the opening ceremony of the games, the build-up to the games to start with, the opening ceremony where there was, this lavish coming together of the youth of Nigeria. It was chaotic, representing Nigeria the way Nigeria is, but it was beautiful. It was chaotic, beautiful. At the end,
chaos.
Yeah. At the end, we saw culture, we saw our heritage, we saw our history, we saw our youth celebrate, and we saw the people, everybody galvanized, towards one particular event, and it was just truly beautiful.
So is that why you think that we are now back on track with regards to this? Because you said it used to be a jamboree of some sort.
Yes. Well, aside from that, technically, you could see now that because the objective really is to compete. This is sport. We are talking sport.
Absolutely.
So young people are back. In fact, the federal government, through the National Sports Commission, brought in a contingent of young, talented athletes, different from all the other athletes from the states, to come and compete with whatever the states brought together. So that is like brought focus to the discovery of young talent again. And you could see the celebration that this thing has caused. That team has started winning medals. They are not representing any state in the country. Because in the past we used to have these shenanigans where states would go and hire athletes from different places and so on. So it diluted the products that we had. But now it appears everything is now going back on focus. The games all the athletes, over 12,000 of them, are housed in a village.
Okay.
In a village, so they are together.
Okay.
You can imagine what's going on there.
Right.
True integration. Young people from different parts, mingling, eating, and all of that. By the time they leave that place, It is eternal friendship, the original objective for which the games were set up. So little things like that are happening in Gateway Games that was not there before. And this is helping us to restore those objectives for which it was set up.
Well, first of all, I want to say I feel really good having to sit on the same table with you. I don't know about my colleagues, but I watched you play. I watched you play football. You know? Yes, I did. And well, let's not go. Let's not go.
No, but I started from the festival.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, my real career in football started from the 73 festival. I was a young student. I was in school in Ibadan. And I was invited to play for the Western State team. And I went in there, played my first international match, realized that I was even good for the first time, went to the festival. After it, I was invited to the national team in December of 1973. That was the beginning.
That tells me that you had a lot to do in organizing these Gateway Games. But you know, two things catch my interest. You've spoken to one already. How so many people are being housed in the games, which you have explained. The other is, let us look at the business side of it. How did Ogun State put the monies together? I know sponsorship is part of it. I know the state government had to spend some money here and there. But what is the system, should I say system, that you used to gather enough to put this thing together? And how many, how do we call it, indirect businesses have sprung up because of this?
Okay, you see, when you have a game such as this, first of all, I'm not part of, I haven't been a part of putting,
I'm surprised to hear that, actually.
I haven't been of putting this together. They did a terrific job. Whoever did it did a terrific job. I just came in the past 2 weeks when I was made Grand Sports Ambassador, and I've been looking at what's going on. And I must confess that I am amazed. It's like there was a vision, and that vision encapsulates what I had been thinking needed to be done to harness, to harvest the opportunities that exist in this kind of games. The first thing is that you see the sport itself, the running and the jumping, that is the least activity in the games. The sport is the least activity in the games. The greater activities are all those things, first of all, putting it together. Where would they stay? Where would they feed? How would they be transported? What kind of security would you need? And so on and so forth. That takes up almost 90% of this entire project. Now that they are even there, how do they go from camp to the venues? How do they do this? Logistics. Huge moving parts. So to put together those things is mind-boggling. So, as I said, remember, the least activity is the sport itself. What we don't focus on are those other activities. Once you focus on those activities, you start to see opportunities to create an ecosystem of some sort. Cultural, economic, and so on and so forth. So for the first time, we are looking at developing an ecosystem out of these games. The games will come and go. Definitely. If you go to Abeokuta now, you won't see the games on the street of Abeokuta. Unless you go to the venues. And who goes to the venues? These are not known stars that can attract people. So if you go there, you find that it's only the athletes mostly that are there. So you won't have this throng of visitors and tourists and all. They are not there. I want you to follow my... So what you need to do is to create small events and outlets and so on that would attract a certain level of clientele that will be sustained beyond it, beyond the games themselves, which is what is happening in Abeokuta. You go to the streets, nothing is happening. But go to the venues, go to the sports city that has evolved behind the stadium, and you find thousands tens of thousands of people. And there are all kinds of markets. The commercial activity going on there now is mind-boggling.
Yes,
And if we can now just sustain that, we would have created a certain level of economic and ecosystem behind it. We could make it cultural. You could look at the cultural aspect of it.
Yes.
Abeokuta is the epicenter of black civilization and culture in the world, but we don't appreciate it. You can use these games, bringing 15,000 people to that environment, create opportunities for them to become traffic into your cultural centers, and by the time they leave, you have established another ecosystem for culture.
That's right.
So you have to be thinking, you have to be creative. So that's what is going on now in Abeokuta. Beyond what the games are going to offer technically, running and jumping, there's something something interesting and energy.
You can say that again, because I feel very proud, coming from Ogun State. It's something of an interest to me. But one thing is, talking about the players, because I saw the opening ceremony, it was broadcast live on our channel. But if you look at the festival, it has been marred by doping issues with, several athletes being disqualified. At least I know of 6 that have been disqualified, for anti-doping violations. You made allusion to what happened, back in the day where it wasn't organic. They rented people to come and, represent states and different for sporting activities. What are the things that they're doing to ensure that this competition is fair and square, and that whatever comes out of it is based on the plans of the organizers, as against the issues of doping and renting of players and all of that?
Well, people want to win. People go to all kinds of extents to win. So, and you're coming from different parts of the country, and you don't know what everybody is doing. Some states come here to win at all costs. Some states come here to just participate and make sure that they get the best they can harvest for the future, and so on and so forth. So everybody's motivation is different, particularly where you have this motley of humanity. So I cannot say anything about doping. From my own personal experiences, young athletes are led into doing all these things. They give them some tablets that are banned. They don't know what they are, performance enhancement things, and so on and so forth. So it's a race between those who are trying to stop them and those who want to win at all costs. But one thing is obvious. If you look at the medals table for now, you find that even Ogun State is not there yet. I live in Ogun State. So our motivation is not to win at all costs.
It's a foster unity, cultural relationship.
We have our values, and it's not about winning this thing. You are going into the future. You discover the right people, you give them the training and so on, and then they become stars. And what you want to achieve in 1 month, you sustain for so many years. So I don't know how the other states are doing it, so I cannot speak for all these doping incidences. There are thousands of athletes involved. So all you do is try to do catch up with those who are cheating. You can't eliminate it.
Absolutely. I'm interested in the story, the brief you gave us about your experience when this was how you discovered your talent, that you were even good, and then you build up to becoming the legend that you are right now and becoming the ambassador for the states. How about for those who perhaps are taking this as an opportunity, talent discovery? When they discover, what happens next? How can they build on it? Perhaps you can just relive memories of the past for us, and then there are those watching who can, pick up one lesson or the other on how to build from here onwards.
Okay, you see, first, this is an opportunity for young people to hear. You see, the world of sports is vast. It is not just in the physicality of playing it itself. Again, even in this instance, the sport is the least activity within the sports industry. And that industry is massive. It covers virtually everything. For example, I'm a diplomat. I'm an ambassador. Official ambassador. I work with the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. It is a result of my sports experience. I'm an educator. I run a sports school. I'm part of the ownership of a media organization that is dealing with sports. You understand? Again, I am a champion of health. I am a consultant to the Nigerian Heart Foundation. This is not playing football. I'm just giving you instances of the vastness of the opportunities that exist within the sports planet.
Yeah.
So young children who have a passion for sport, and the generality of our young children have passion for sport, they should please be encouraged to go into it. Not necessarily to end up as JG or Kocha and so on, but they can veer into so many different fields. And my life has been a good example, a model for the possibilities that exist within the sports fair for little children. It's a massive industry. So that's my message for this morning. It's in fashion, it's in film. I've acted 3 films. It's in, it is in health, it is in education, it is in the media.
But how are you able to build from your experience at the festival to becoming this? Because some persons are taking advantage of, there is exploitation as well in the whole process when certain talents are discovered.
Yeah, you see, the festival experience is sport.
Yeah,
I went into it. I found out that I was good because I was invited to represent my state. That was the only reason I realized I was good. If you could represent your state. I played the first international friendly match, and I scored 2 goals in a friendly international against Central African Republic when I was in secondary school. That opened my eyes to that possibility. That oh boy, you are good though, and then you now focus. You know, you now focus, and then you know it starts to build up. It starts to build up. You improve. You get the right training and all that and all that. So that's what the festival does, really. It's you believe you are good. You think you are good, but you go there and perform, and you discover that you are really good. And then you focus. And then you take it seriously. They help you to go along, you know, on this your journey, and eventually you become a star and so on and so forth. If you do not become a star, then the message I've just given out this morning is that there is a world outside of it where you can easily, you know, gravitate into and still remain within that sphere of stardom and being famous and being rich and popular and powerful these days politically.
Powerful. And the whole journey for me, from what you've said, starts with focus.
Focus.
After you have convinced yourself that, look, I'm good at this thing, the next thing is focus. If
Absolutely.
Because if you do focus, strategy comes in, and you continue with it. It is fantastic that something like this is happening in Ogun State. Are we going to see it every year? That's that's the first one. I am asking this question because our youth nowadays are drawn to negative things. They are drawn to hard drugs. They are drawn to stealing. They are drawn to Yahoo, all sorts of things. Please speak to what this kind of sports can do to focus our youth.
Well, sport, as I said earlier, is all-encompassing. For you to succeed in sports, apart from just focusing, you have to have discipline of the unnatural. Your training, if you know the training that sportsmen go through, you don't want to go into sports because it is like 24/7. It is killing. You know, every day there are certain things you cannot do. You wake up at a particular time, you eat certain foods, you train certain hours. In fact, now they've just discovered that if you don't train 10,000 hours, forget about being one of the best in the world. You must have time. How do you get 10,000 hours? We have been experimenting for 17 years with young people in my own institution. We can only get 4 hours of training every day. If you want to be the best, 6 hours of training. Physical training. Aside from that, you have to sleep, no chasing of girls, no smoking of cigarettes, no going out. All the big stars you see around the world in sports, they don't do any of those things. So it is a life that is so regimented that if you know before you even start, you won't go into it. So it is a good avenue sport, for you to succeed in sport, is a good avenue to instill in our young people all the discipline that will make you the best as a human being. You know, you're talking morals. You won't get into all these vices. You can't get into those vices and succeed in sport. In music, you could. in film, you could. But in sports, you cannot. Because the moment you just veer into it, you start to diminish.
I hear Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't even take minerals and
yes. It is frightening the amount of discipline involved in becoming a top sports person.
However, I think I have about 2 questions to ask you. One for me, another for someone who is watching, a sports analyst, trying to ask you a personal question. But this is very key to me first. You know, saying that hosting such a very large scale, you know, for a sporting festival, it comes with a huge amounts of, you know, investment. So they're now wondering, why do we have to spend that amount of money for sports when we have some other prevailing challenges as, you know, healthcare and education in the state? That's why. And this person's question, is very close to what he said. This person says, Chief Odegbami, many see your involvement in the Gateway Games 2024 as both symbolic and strategic. But beyond the fanfare, how do you personally ensure that this festival becomes more than just a moment of spectacle, that it translates into a sustainable pipeline for grassroots talent development, real career pathways for young athletes, and long-term sports-driven social transformation across Ogun and Nigeria at large?
Those are huge questions. But why do countries scramble? Why do they bribe and do whatever to host these events? You ask yourself. Some countries actually now dedicate a lot of resources towards hosting of these events because they have seen that, they've seen the secret, what it does. You want to host the World Cup in Nigeria, for example, and you say, oh, we have issues of health. Oh, we have no roads. How can we do it? You require 7 to 8 years to put together a World Cup package. And again, the least activity is the football that is to be played. So if you concentrate on that, you lose focus. But what else do you need to put in place? You're talking of health. The hospitals, you must fix your hospitals. You are going to expect 1 million people to come into your country. They will come through the airports, you fix your airports. You are talking of the security around. You must create a new security apparatus to take care of 1 million people so that nobody gets robbed and so on and so forth. You touch on every aspect of life. So it is not the football. If you focus on the game itself, you lose it. So that's what we are trying to get our people to understand. When you say you spent a lot of resources in Ogun State to host this festival, yes, you have. And if you ask the governor before now, he will tell you that, I wish I didn't do it because I'm spending so much money. But you see, if you look again at the benefits that can accrue, if you strategically now put in place institutions that will create the opportunities for you to discover your talent, create opportunities for commercialization of so many things, create opportunities for people to now come and see where Fela was born, where Obasanjo was born, where the MK Abiola lived, and so on and so forth.
And the first newspaper, Iwe
and so on and so forth. The opportunities are just legion to latch on to this huge expense you have spent in hosting the games that will sustain a whole economy for so long. So that's where the governor of Ogun State today is now. He's a happy man, I tell you. I saw him raise his hands like this, like an angel. He evoked the spirits to be saying, oh, thank you, Lord, for making us do this in Ogun State. Because if we sustain what he has started now, if we sustain it, we just don't do what we did in 2006. After the games, we let everything just die. And then we start rebuilding again. Now, if we now develop a strategy to harness all the opportunity, the branches that these games would bring, you know, onto focus in Ogun State, Ogun State will never be the same again.
That's right. That's right. A very quick one in response to the person's question regarding what you're personally doing.
As the ambassador.
As the ambassador, yeah.
Well, it is a message. It is a message, and the message is sinking. And, you know, I do things. I'm creating an environment in my own locality where this becomes practicable. You know, there's a school, there's a radio station, there's a farm, there's, you know, so we are developing an ecosystem, even within my own small locality, that you can come and look at as a model. It works. Once it works, other people can now come and emulate. But the good thing is that the governor is a listening governor. We discussed, he saw it, and now he has become a big advocate for the use of sports to develop society. And I believe, even beyond him, other governors and so on, the environment will latch onto it, and Ogun State will never, I don't think Ogun State will ever be the same again. It will restore.
For good, of course. For good, of course.
Yes, now it will actually become the epicenter of a new black civilization and culture in the world, and it will be driven by sports through this Ogun State Festival.
Interesting.
That's my belief.
And so let's get back to the games itself, what to expect in the coming days, because the games is still until the 30th of this month. I'm hoping to see more discoveries of persons like Chief Shegun Adebami, the Falena Ogunkoyas of this world, and I'm hoping to see more of that. But what should we expect?
Well, those are silent achievements. You won't see, there won't be much noise about them. If you go to the stadium now, you won't see huge crowds of spectators going to watch, because that's not the model. It doesn't work like that. It's not the World Cup, it's not the Olympics. Most of the people you find there are the athletes themselves. Out of the 12,000 that are there, you know, you finish, you know, a few spectators here and there. That's the model. If you go to Abeokuta, you won't even feel the games in the air. That is how it is.
But wouldn't it have been good for the people to be a part of this whole
the energy to
reverberate? Well, people are coming. People are coming. But that's just normal. That's normal. In every festival you go to that is local, you won't find people from Lagos going to Abeokuta to go and watch. Who are you going to watch?
We don't take advantage of the media.
No. That's the nature. That's the nature of it.
Except something spectacular happens out of this. And then the next edition, you find people trooping down.
Exactly.
So are we hoping for something spectacular? I want to believe so.
Well, I hope so. I hope so. I hope that young athletes would come out of this, that would now become great champions for the future and advertise the festival beyond now. But these festivals are good. If you go to Abeokuta, they may not be on the streets, but I invite you to go to the sports city that has evolved around that stadium in Abeokuta and go and see your own marvel.
Grand Ambassador of Sports Ogun State, Chief Shegun Adebami, thank you so much for your time on the program.
My pleasure.
Thank you. All right, still ahead on TV.